Phil Mendoza again, welcome back. I posted the last video as to the why of what we're talking about with release execution on the Alpha Bowhunting page. If you haven't checked that out, I encourage you to go do that. I'll put a link below. The thing we're going to start with is pull-through releases. So I've got a couple here. I've got a Stanislavski and a Hamsky, formerly also some of these Loesch, I believe, was the initial designer of this release. But what I want to focus on is how these are valuable, how they can help you eliminate target panic, encourage you or introduce you into how to properly aim on a target. What many people are used to doing is they'll start at the bottom and they'll start working their way up, and they'll time the shot to where your pin's about at the spot, they hammer the trigger. Same thing, left to right, up and down. Those are all improper ways to aim on a target, and they will eventually cause anxiety induced problems. Target panic, buck fever is something that I wrote a short book on that I actually have a section in the book that talks specifically about a pull-through release. So the how-to, understanding how these work. These releases function based off of tension. So if you remember the draw force curve that we talked about, you got your draw force curve, maximum poundage. All these releases have a safety on them, so where you can get past this peak when you're pulling maximum weight back. And what you do is, as this starts to build pressure, build poundage back up, when you're pulling hard against the back wall, that's what we're doing. We're identifying an actual weight that's going to be in this range based off of what your bow is actually pulling, and then we're going to set this release to go off at that time. So what that's going to do is guarantee consistency from a standpoint of once you're pulling back in the hard end of the back wall, that's when it's going to fire, not when you tell it to fire. There is ways to cheat these releases, and I encourage you to not do that. So the short version, if you have for example, 70-pound bow, 80% let off, you should be holding somewhere around 14 pounds of holding weight on the back end of that at your draw side, when you're at full draw. That's going to vary depending on where you are, into the valley, how hard you're pulling into the back wall, and your cam system. So what we're going to start with doing is set this type of release. You check it on a scale, and when it breaks off with the safety off, somewhere between, in this example, 15.5 to 16.5 pounds would be a good starting point. And again, it depends on the cam system you're shooting, and depends on how you load and how you actually anchor, because someone who likes to set their draw length a touch on the shorter side is naturally probably going to pull harder into the back wall. So you may have to set your release to go off a little bit heavier. So once you've got your release set, again, these all have a safety. Okay, so this Hamsky, the safety is engaged when it's down in the down position. You draw back, you come to anchor, and once you've got your pin on target, we're going to depress the safety with your thumb. And as you do that and you start to build pressure pulling back into the back wall, once your set poundage is achieved, the release is going to go off. The reason these are excellent tools for helping you overcome target panic and any other kind of anxiety-induced shooting problem is because it forces you to aim, and you focus on aiming, and that's all you're doing is focusing on aiming. As long as you can just pull hard in the back wall. Some people use the term back tension. I don't like that term because I feel if your form is solid and your back muscles are engaged, you can shoot any type of release that way. It's not everybody can do it. But for this topic on this video, a pull-through style release, it's great as a training aid, it's great as a tool to help you aim, and it's great as a tool to help you overcome some anxiety-induced issues. Again, consider there's many on the market. The fit and the way that the safety engages is slightly different from one to the other. So, like I said, Hamsky makes a good one, Carter makes a good one, Stanislavski makes a good one, and I encourage you to check those out. They're all going to be in that $150 to $250 price range. So it's not a typical $50 index finger release. The next video we're going to touch on is proper hinge execution and things to look for, characteristics on a hinge style release. The last video I'm going to kind of tie everything together is practicing and hunting with one of these style releases, as I actually do hunt with the hinge. I've hunted with the hinge for years. It's not for everybody, but there's pluses and minuses to everything. So I hope you enjoyed this video on the pull through style release, and stay tuned for the next one coming in a few days on the hinge.